me see that. All right, this is probably all we're going to get, so let me get my mic on here. Okay, that a little better? All right. Appreciate y'all coming very, very much. I appreciate every bit of support that you guys have given me, and really given the Nicaraguans, because I pretty much take everything you give and take it over there and help others there. I've been blessed with this for many years, and you all have been great. I appreciate your support for the work over there. Let's start off with a quick prayer, if you don't mind. Our great, our holy, our wonderful, loving God and Father, we come before you at this time, thanking you for this beautiful day that you have given us and the many blessings in it. Thank you, Father, for the opportunity to share in the work that you are doing over in Nicaragua, Father. And Father, thank you for each and every member here and in other places that support and send funds to those in Nicaragua, Father. Just please bless them, help them, and thank you for all the many blessings you have given me and us here at this Lindale congregation, Father. Please continue to bless us. Be, O Lord, with all your children throughout the world that may be struggling, that are suffering, Father. We ask you to be with our brother Ben Shipley, and we ask you to be with the many others here, Kawa and Ken and Debbie Jernigan, Father. We ask you to be with Evelyn over there and the many others throughout the world that are sick and struggling, that you would strengthen, comfort, bless, heal, and guide them. Praise, honor, and glory belong unto you and you alone. In Jesus' name, amen. So this was September trip this year. I always try to give thanks, first of all, to all the folks who helped me through my trip. Upper left-hand corner, as I'm looking at it, yep, be the upper left for you. Aileen, Edwin, Gabriel and Evelyn. And then the group of folks on the upper right are the ones that put on the kids camp. It's very similar to an FC camp over there. Matter of fact, Jason, kind of the one on the left-hand side, he's like the person partly in charge of the recreation and stuff in the Georgia FC camp. And so we'll talk more about that later, but all of them helped and assisted. And then Augustine and little Moises and Brenda, they open up their house all the time. And matter of fact, they opened up their house and we stayed there. They weren't even there. Moises got very sick with, I don't remember, kidney stones or gallstones. They put it in Spanish and I don't remember which one it is. So he was in the hospital back in Managua while we were at his place in Ciuna. But thank the Lord that he is better and doing much better. Center bottom is Tony and Jennifer and little Tony and Fiorella. He is my translator for a lot of the time, and so always thanks to him. And then our brother Nelson and his family, Rosa and Anielka, and then Rosita, they're in Bonanza now, and so they end up, they housed us and put us up for a night, and he works in Bonanza now, so he's doing pretty well. So this is a summary of my trip. So we did 7 congregations in the first 5 days. Then we went to camp, which was new to me. The ones in red are new. And then, so for day 1, we went to lunch at Wilmer's, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Ciudad Sandino was our first church that we went to, day 1. Gosain, day 1. And that day 1 there, actually. Day 1 really got spent traveling. But day one there, and then San Benito, La Pelota. Then we went back to San Benito to visit 3 sick folks there, and then we traveled that day. Thomas, he is in the Ciuna area, and we'll talk about him. Orofino is up in the Ciuna area. Then we went to Ciuna, Bonanza, then a full day of travel and camp, and then camp from the last, and then we leave on day 10. So this is a rough, and the numbers won't add up because several of these numbers were actually ones that y'all helped paid for before. 80 adult Bibles, roughly $250. Purchased 100 songbooks this time. They're $5 each. We gave out 50 plus children's Bibles. It was hard to keep track of how many we were giving out. You'll kind of see why at times. We gave cash or products like medicines and that type of things to family, $2,900. Then we gave cash for kids to go to camp, $800. It cost $100 per child to go to camp, and it was all free to them. None of the kids had to pay anything, nor their parents. They did have to pay to get there sometimes, but even then, I tried to support that as well. And so whatever the windfall was, whatever was left over that wasn't donated and paid for, there was a widow in Georgia who was going to pay the rest of the money. So you figure we had 120 total people there at $100 a head, so a little over $10,000. And so I gave out 5 hammocks, so total benevolence that was sent was about $480. Total given was about $4,200. And so here's just a map of where it is in case you're unfamiliar with it. You go down past Mexico and in past Guatemala and El Salvador and drop down into Nicaragua. And then, so just getting there, I'm trying to do exactly what Chris is always, what we were talking about in the Romans class and auditorium. I mean, I got a captive audience, actually. When I'm in an airplane, somebody's sitting next to me usually. So I got a captive audience. Met this gentleman on the way to Nicaragua. His name was Jacob. He owned a construction company. I believe it was over in Waxahachie somewhere. He was building a house there in Nicaragua. He met his wife in Costa Rica. And then they came back to the States, and then they want to make it like a summer home or a winter home. I'm not sure which. He worshiped at Assembly of God. I gave him the Roman Road. I left all my cards at home, not thinking I was going to need a Lindale Church of Christ card, but from now on I'll have like plenty of them. Because I'm always constantly, you can watch online, you can watch Chris, and you can watch some of our services. But I didn't have a card because I left them all, intentionally left them. But I gave him my name and phone number and the Roman Road to Salvation. We had just a great several-hour conversation. So day one, we hit the ground. This is the worst part of the trip is that when we got there, we found out my best friend's wife has lung cancer. So that's Evelyn down there. As you can see by her smile that it's not affecting her like it would affect the rest of the world. This is one of the laughingest families that you've ever met, that you would ever meet. And we still did that the entire time. She gets tired a lot easier now. So with your benevolence, here's where 1,500 of it went. We got the news, and their doctors there in Nicaragua, just like it would be here in the U.S., chemo's the one and only thing that they're ever going to push on you. I said, please, let's not do that. Let's go holistic. I believe, truthfully, God can cure this holistically. And so I got her in touch with a full medical doctor. He got his license, I believe, somewhere in Florida. He since moved to Spain, where he can practice and really push the holistic. I should have put all the medicines, all the vitamins and supplements on a slide. I should have thought about that. But so that cost about $1,400 just for the initial consultation. It's kind of you have some go-betweens that help you with communicating with the doctors. And so for the total thing, you got about 3 hours for about $1,400. And then with all the meds with all the stuff they had to buy when I left $100. I was just leaving $100 in case somebody needed it. And so I just told them to use that because when they bought the first bunch of vitamins, it was probably $200 worth of vitamins. And so then day 2, and we're going to call it day 2 now because I changed it and forgot. We gave about $400 to Wilmer to fix his roof. His roof was leaking. Now this was a trip or 2 ago. And so I just wanted to show you that for him and his family, he was able to do some remodeling. Those pictures aren't super clear, but the upper right, he put in a big, this is like right next to the church building, and the church building's not in the best neighborhood. So he put in a big a big metal gate that they basically lock their doors with. He remodeled a little bit of the inside of his house, made a little room for his kids. That's on the kind of that plywood left-hand side. There's a room right behind there. And then the plywood on the right-hand side is their room. And that's the 2 rooms they have in the house. So here's some pictures of the roof. You can see the brand new metal roofing that they have, corrugated metal roofing that they have there. And so just wanted to keep you up to date that the money we gave was spent, and it is definitely helping him out. And so it's definitely working. So here's Ciudad Sandino, new to me, never been there before. We gave out 3 songbooks and 3 Bibles. They're a fairly small congregation of about 11 members. What's interesting is the preacher there, let's see if I included him, I did not. The one in the green there, he lives next to the church building in Alta Gracia, which is where we congregate and where the Wilmer's house was. So he lives right down the street from Wilmer, but yet he goes to Ciudad Sandino and worships and preaches with them, even though he lives right down the street from the church building there. And so the next one, same day, we went to Gosain. I preached struggling Christians there. Matter of fact, going back here, I preached joy, the upper right-hand corner. That's the lesson in which I preached. Very similar to Chris's joy, except for really what I focus on is it's a joy that you can have in any situation. It doesn't depend on our situation. A Christian's joy should not depend on the bad health we have. It shouldn't depend on whatever we're going through, because our joy is based in heaven. And but I have brought Chris's lesson into it about Jesus, others, and self. That's how we can still have joy. If we're putting Jesus first through all the bad times, others first in all the bad times, and then we look at we don't have much time for ourselves in the bad times. So that's why I preach that lesson there. I preach it quite a bit because, again, they just don't have everything that we do. And so here, Gosain, I preached struggling Christians. We gave out 10 songbooks, 10 adult Bibles. That's the AB adult Bibles, and then 20 children's Bibles. This is actually, this is probably, I'd say, half their members. This is on, let's see here, I got there on a Tuesday. This is on Wednesday, not their normal church meeting day. They don't meet on Wednesdays like we do. They'll meet, I believe, on Thursdays, most of them. And so we had a pretty good turnout for a non-true Bible study day for them. Struggling Christians, I take them through a walk of what it must have been like with Noah, what God asked of Noah. And, like when they come out of the ark, how alone do you think Noah felt? Like I mean, you are 8 souls left on the entire planet, and you know it. And it's like, then I go into Abraham, leaving his household, offering his son. I go into several others through the Bible, and even Saul of Tarsus, and what he asked of him, and then compare our problems to theirs. Kind of helps, put things in a little perspective. I might add Job to that, because I was talking to one gentleman on the way home, and we talked about Job, and I mean, Job is the epitome of that, like a struggling Christian. So here it was. Starts off also, I use Hebrews 11:36, while others are mocked and beaten and sawn in two. And I mean, is our hardships anything compared to the first century Christians? Nothing. So I try to help Christians just put their life into perspective. Then we went on to San Benito, and we gave this gentleman here, his house was washed out when Luann and I went. And so Jose and his family here, the wife is the one with the green, because she looks more like one of his kids. But nonetheless, I went there specifically to see if I could help him some more. And this was one of the sad cases. I found out that due to his jealousy about his wife, he kind of chased her off, and she no longer lives with him. And so I had 2 or 3 long conversations with this gentleman, because he wanted to kind of blame it on her as if she was Gomer. He doesn't have any proof whatsoever, but he thinks she was cheating on him. But he has no proof whatsoever. When I went after talking to him, I just tried to point the finger back at him. Look, you need to analyze yourself. You need to look at yourself. You need to look at yourself. You look at yourself. Matter of fact, you need to be more like Hosea. That's kind of what I left him with. You need to be Hosea. You need to go after your wife, whether or not you think she cheated on you. And so this was sad. I did not give him any money. I did not feel like his heart was in the right place. He attends worship, but I didn't feel like his heart was in the right place. So I did not. I'm going the wrong way. And so this is a San Benito congregation. Again, it wasn't a standard worship day, so we didn't actually meet in the church building. We met outside one of the ladies' houses. I preached the joy sermon there. 5 songbooks, 5 adult Bibles, and 5 children's Bibles we left with them. And then this young lady, Yeleska, she had left the church. She had left Christ and kind of was off on her own. She was there, and her mom was almost in tears, because just happenstance of the lesson I preached. Because at the very end of that lesson of joy, I go through and I tell them that we are the only ones that can remove our names from the book of life. We take our names out of it. We leave him. He's not leaving us. And so I had no clue she wasn't faithful. She was sitting there with the rest of them. But then afterwards, we had a good long conversation with her. And a couple of times we saw her again, and we talked to her some more. And so Pedro, he is the preacher in San Benito, and I gave him $100. He had some infections in his legs. And so my hope is we found a place over there that does some holistic treatments of illnesses with like a hydrogen peroxide injections through the veins and stuff. So I was asking everybody that I gave money to use $50 for now for whatever meds you need, and let's see if we can get you in and see if this holistic route will help. And so we're still kind of working on that. But we gave Pedro $100. Then we went to Pelota, day 3, struggling Christians. I preached there. And this is Irma, whom I bring meds to on a fairly regular basis. I don't remember the disease in which she has, but it's like the hardening of the arteries. And so I took her quite a bit of what they use. It's chlorine dioxide. and it's good for cleansing the cells and that type of thing. And she's been on that for a while. I found more of a holistic one, one that uses your body's natural fluids as the activator of it once it gets into you. So that was $550. So I spent $350 on the meds, gave her $200 for living, and then I gave Jorge, another $100 for living. He provided the meal and everything, and if you saw the house they live in, you'd understand why I gave him $100 to help with living expenses. These three young people down on the right-hand corner, they had not been baptized. Pedro started talking to them. He was with us that day, and then we just struck up a long conversation of why. Help me understand what you're going through. Tried to get into their heads. Tried to talk them into going to camp. Had them going to the camp, but then they backed out at the last minute, which was kind of a bummer. But good conversation with them and trying to get them to commit themselves to the Lord. Then day 4, we were coming back through San Benito. We never probably should have stopped day 4. We probably should have tried to do this on day 3, because by the time we got to our destination, well, after this, we had like 6 hours to drive. We got there about 1 o'clock in the morning to our next destination. So we probably should have tried to do this on day 3, but we visited 3 elderly ladies. Coco Ortiz, she was having strokes, I believe, if I remember right. Coco is, I got her in my notes here. No, Coco was having fainting problems and problems with her legs. And again, we tried to do the holistic thing. Here, take $50 of that dollars and put it towards your medicine. And if we can, let's use the other 50 to get into the holistic and see if they can actually help you. And so then Blanca, the middle one there, she had 2 strokes, and she had her own wheelchair. She was able to get around a little bit with people's help. But we did the same thing, see if they can maybe help her regain something with the holistic approach. Floor, this was extremely unique and extremely sad. So we were visiting her, and she had literally given up on her life. So that 800 to 900, that's her blood sugar count. So I don't know much about diabetes, but she let it get that bad. She had just given up. She was there in pain, and she was refusing to go to the hospital at that point. And I didn't really even know what to say. I don't know if I said the right thing or not. I asked her if she was ready to meet the Lord. I mean, do you really want to leave at this point? Are you ready? And I didn't know what else to say. I think I might have changed her mind, because before we left, she was heading to the hospital. She didn't make it, though. She died. She died while we were there. Later on the next morning. I don't think you can get blood sugar down from 800 to 900, somewhere in there. I don't know much about diabetes, but it was sad. There was of course, a little bit of good that came out of it. So these are family members of some sort. And I don't know if you can see that smile on the young lady on the right-hand side, Daniela, but that is just a huge smile. I can see it when I put the picture up there, but it's a little hard. These weren't taken by my camera. These were taken by somebody else's. Children's Bibles. I just started handing out children's Bibles. I didn't know what else to do. She wasn't very coherent at the time. And so I just look around, saw some kids. I'm like, we got to go get some children's Bibles if they don't have them. So hopefully some good stuff come out of that someday. Thomas, just now noticing I spelled his name wrong. He doesn't have an H in his name, but nonetheless, we helped him out the last trip or 2 ago, and we were going to get him one of these types of chairs. So he had diabetes and had to have one of his legs amputated. Just so happens it was his good leg. And his bad leg, he can't stand on it at all. It's just too weak. And so this is him in his new chair. Now, the interesting portion of this is the fact that I asked him how he liked it and what he thought, and he's like, I really want to walk. I want prosthetic. I'm like, Okay, we'll see if we can make it happen. So he already got, that was the first route we kind of took. There's a doctor who does prosthetic that's actually in the church, not too far away from Siuna. And I don't think he was a good candidate for it. But I think we're going to still try to make it work at some point. Maybe selling this particular chair, whatever money we can get from that, we can try to get the prosthetic and maybe a really strong brace for his bad leg, and then maybe something that will help support his back, because he really wants to walk back into a church building. He hasn't been in 2 or 3 years now. And so this is on our way to Orofino.
Traffic jam.
We ran into a traffic jam. Wasn't too bad, but this is somewhat typical. Somewhat typical. We see this quite a bit. On the way to Orofino, we stopped off. We were going to get some drinks. And I find it my mission. I don't care whether the kids are in the church or not. If I have the opportunity, I am going to grab one of my children's Bibles and give it to them and tell them that it's a gift from me and then also from the church there locally, so that they know that they can go visit maybe that congregation. I really lost count of how many I handed out. I was, at one point in time, I'm seeing them as we're driving down the road, and I'm like, stop the van. I'm getting out. And I'm giving them some children's Bibles. And so I don't really know, truthfully, how many I gave out. We got to Orofino. I preached Struggling Christian there. And then we had some good conversations. So George on the left there, his wife wanted to move to Costa Rica, and he did not. She chose to leave him and go to Costa Rica. I was telling him, neither one of them they haven't like divorced each other or anything. We were trying to talk him into going, chasing her down, and begging her to come back. So that's still in the works. Then the middle one, Paola, she is one that left the Lord, and it seemed just like maybe worldly things got in her way. And so we had some good long conversations with her as well, try to convince her to come back to the Lord. Noel and Elsa, we gave $100. They live quite far away from the church there, and I told them to use some of it for raincoats because they didn't have any raincoats, and they always have to pay to take a taxi, which is about like an hour and a half. Like they live about 2 or 3 hours away from the church building, and so we gave them $100 for transportation mainly. And I called this Talk with the Fallen because we did quite a bit of that here. And then plenty of children's Bibles, as you can see. Gave Paola one adult Bible, and so we just made sure they all have children's Bibles. And so day 5, Siuna, Faith Before the Storm, Chris's lesson. So we were only there for a short period of time. This was a Saturday, and that's one of their normal Bible meeting days. They meet on Saturday for Bible study. And so we had a pretty decent crowd. Then I met a gentleman from Cuba there, talked with him, and his son actually went to camp, and you'll see him mentioned again a little later on. But that was pretty interesting. He fled from Cuba and moved to Nicaragua. And so we talked to him. And then we went up and visited Bonanza. And then this is day 6. I preached pretty much all 3 of Chris's lessons on that one. All the Sermon on the Plain that Jesus demonstrated, the Sermon on the Plain that Jesus demonstrated on the cross, Faith Before the Storm. And so then, let's see if it works. No singing. That was actually, you'll see that's actually an old photo. I didn't even take a video or a photo of the church while I was there. It was we got there a little late, and then, so it was very rushed. And 3 lessons, and then, of course, me speaking took a while to get out of there. They were all hungry by then. I didn't show it, but after we left services, we're changing the tire again. That is pretty much a norm, it seems like. Flat tire at the last 3 trips. This van that I had is the same van I had last time that we blew a tire. And so we have to fix, they're bald, by the way. He needs a new set of tires on his vans, but nonetheless, we had a flat tire, and we changed that afterwards. So this is outside my buddy's house in Bonanza. And so in his house, he owns just a store. He's got a storefront there that people come up and they buy drinks and buy stuff from. And there was a couple of kids that came up. So I thought, oh, this is a great opportunity. Let's hand out some children's Bibles. I started something there. I don't know, probably 10 of them. All of a sudden, people coming up asking for them. Like, I started the talk through the neighborhood, and like they were coming and asking me for them. The picture on the right was our typical living quarters, bug net over your bed, and we had some pretty good there. And then outside, you'll see in a minute, the hammocks. There's a few folks sleeping in the hammocks. That's the picture. So this isn't there. This is actually day 7. Later on, we left, and then we went to Negro's house. And this is 3 of them are sleeping outside in the hammocks while a couple of us are in on the beds. Here we had to get up at 2:30 a.m. to start on our way to get to camp. And could have got another half hour sleep, but it was all right. We did good. We got there early to camp. But that's Brother Negro's house. And he lets us stay there as often as we want and provides good hospitality. Here is camp setting, and I did not realize that was going to show up so dark up there, but this is beautiful. I mean, the green this is their vista point. Now, this isn't at the camp. This is the vista point where everybody takes pictures. That's like a horse-drawn carriage. I just happened to be driving back by it with no passengers, and I stopped off and decided I was going to take me a little video and some pictures of just the area that camp was, the setting it was in. It was in that type of setting. Here's our first meal at camp, set up just like any other camp is going to be. They're going to have 3-4 different items that they're going to feed us, and some servers. And then this is a typical lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So this is what the camp looked like. This is a view kind of looking up towards the dormitories. The dorms are up there at the very top and up to the left. Here's their little soccer field. The little shack up there on the right-hand side is actually they were pretty smart. That's a coffee bar. They made some money off the kids there. I didn't realize, I saw them walking around with like Starbucks type coffees, and I didn't know where they were getting them from. I didn't think about it, and then realized I'm not a big coffee drinker, and then realized that, I think it was the last day, somebody told me, oh yeah, that's a coffee bar up there. I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay, no wonder. That's where they all got it from. So, beautiful camp. This is a setting looking down over a little lake that they can do canoes in. And so these are our typical dorms, which are better than most of the camps you would go to at even FC. But little cots that we sleep in that were good. It was really good facilities. It had a labyrinth, and this is some of the beautiful scenery as you walked around the camp. So this is my funnest trip that I have ever made. It's not the best trip I have ever made. It's the funnest. The best trip was actually taking the Stevens and watching them experience the whole thing, and watching them teach the young kids and do lessons and that type of thing. That's the best trip I've ever taken. This was the funnest, and hopefully you'll see why in a second. Oops, going backwards. So this is the labyrinth. The ultimate. That means the end. And as you see, you're walking up, and in the middle of this labyrinth is the last turn. A crawl. Hola. there's some people over here that I'm talking to, and so
Hola.
you can't. One's back there behind the woods, and then there's some back down that direction. And so we spent camp-wise, we spent quite a bit of time in this area, which is singing and the lessons. So we got 2 or 3 lessons a day, and we'd come together for singing 2 or 3 times a day at least. And there were 84 kids, and I don't remember quite how many adults. There was probably another close to 30 of us adults, including the preachers that they had come. And so it was a great time. I spent 4 days simply talking and sitting with children from the age of 12 to 23 and trying to get to know them. Some that I've visited their congregations and didn't recognize them because I don't have that kind of time when I visit the congregation to sit down and talk with the young kids. This was an experience that I look forward to now every year, to get to meet these young folks and sit and talk to them. And I'm still trying to help a couple through their struggles that they were good friends from a long time ago, from my very first trip. A couple of young ladies that trying to help through some struggles. But it was a good time. This is, we handed out close to 50 adult Bibles. And then I also gave out the bookmarks here, the Bible bookmarks that the ladies made. And so I ran out of Bibles. I did not intend to give them out that many. I expected they had their own, most of them. They did not. We were only about 2 Bibles shy. But we gave out all the Bibles, quite a bit of bookmarks. And then we ended up giving some songbooks out at the end. Some good preaching. The preaching was all about who the Lord is. He is our good shepherd. He is the light. He's our light. He is the bread. All the lessons were totally focused on who Jesus is to us. And so we had some singing. This is our singing. A lot of lessons and a lot of singing. And so, oh my, I can't read their names from this far back, but so we were just talking at lunch, and we were with James and Renee, and we were talking about introverts and extroverts. And apparently I am a total extrovert and probably always have been. So the young lady on the left, Lizzie is her name. She was a worker there, and she was sitting over, there's a little coffee shop where they serve the regular black coffee. That's where I went to get my black coffee. I didn't realize there was a whole coffee bar, but she was just sitting there eating, and so I went up and I talked to her, and I was trying to speak Spanish, and then she started speaking English. She's from Colorado Springs, Colorado. She was there on she was there working and doing an internship. She's in some sort of chemistry, like soil chemistry and stuff. And so they grow coffee beans to support the camp as well. So every bag of coffee they sell helps a child go to camp. And so they've got a mountain full of coffee beans. And then we're not the only ones at the camp. We didn't have the whole camp to ourselves. There's another group. They were an Assembly of God. And these three young ladies, they were, we'd intermingle. They'd be sitting somewhere. And so I just walked up and started trying to talk to them, trying to figure out what our differences were. And I ran into the gentleman up top. And he, I think, is one of their preachers. He had traveled more of the U.S. than I actually had. So he was rambling off everywhere he had been in the U.S. I'm like, I haven't been there. No, I haven't been there. But we had a good conversation. I think he was part of theirs. Some of the differences between their worship, they believe similar in the plan of salvation. From what I gathered, the plan of salvation, it's just how the churches ran. Instruments in music, women leading, preaching, teaching, a lot of blowing horns and all kinds of stuff. We at times we couldn't hear our own self think when we were having classes. We couldn't hear ourselves because of them, and they were pretty loud. They were a little ways away too. They were like across the campus, and so they were quite loud, which was interesting. This is what they call an icebreaker. Typical camp, they got kids into teams. And then here it's trying to run forehead on a baseball bat, go 6 times around and turn back. Like really crooked. Like you're 2 lanes over where you're supposed to be. So it was fun. We did. They did a lot of activities like this. Really, this is. So a lot of these kids are from quite far away, and they don't know each other. And they may be in a congregation where they only have 2 or 3 that are their age. And so this is really trying to build the next generation a support group that they have, so that they communicate, they text back and forth, that they can build each other up. And so this is the next one of the games they had. Get kids through little pieces of rope. And they had to do it in a certain order. Like literally. So it was quite fun. We had the wall, which again they had to get their whole team up the wall, including the last person. This was a balance beam. It is out in the woods, and it is like just a 2x4. It was as slippery as like walking on moss. And we made them, one person could kind of get across it on their own okay, but they made 2 people have to go at the same time, like hold each other. And so it was quite funny. Most of them don't make it very far. We had maybe one team make it through the whole thing. One of the girls actually did it. So it was quite funny to watch and see. It was we had a really, really good time.
They're either gonna.
There were several other things that we did at the camp. We had 2 baptisms while we were there. Matter of fact, this young man Marcos is the one from Cuba that we met in Ciuna. So he was baptized, and then this young lady was baptized, and then I'll have to see. I don't remember whether I put the other. I know I didn't put one of them in. I'll have to see if I put the other baptism in. I might have at the end of the lesson. So then the day before the last day, they have Bible bowl is what they called it. And here are the cards. So a lot of the time, like the one on the right going up and down, those are the days of creation, and they would have to put them in order. And so they were timed. And that's not really easy. I mean, the days of creation are a little hard to understand because he creates light and then he creates an expanse. Well, even the cards are hard to understand what the expanse is. They had their Bibles even, and they struggled. Then the upper left, the ones going across, those are the 10 Commandments, putting those in order. And they're broken up in teams and all doing this at the same time. And then the ones on the bottom are the dispensations of the books. Like they'd have all the poetry books together, but they'd have to put poetry. This is the books of poetry. These are the prophets. These are the whatever. And they would have to match those up. And so, it was fun. It was good. It wasn't really easy for them. And so this is what made it the funnest. These are just a few of them. And I mean, I tried to go around taking photos and then asking them to put their names on it and where they live, so that when I go, I'm gonna put them in little folders in where they live, and before I go to one of the churches, I'm going to look them up so that I can do my best to remember them. But you'll see, Chris likes me to wear this shirt. I wore it for 2 days at camp, and had a couple of them. I think I probably wore it all 3 days. I had 2 of them. You can see it in there. But my typical, I was going to wear it on top of it, but this is one of the, I get these at Sam's, but these are the typical shirts I would wear. They're called Habits. They're very breathable, light material. I dip them in Prometheum, which is a very strong bug repellent. And so then I don't really have to worry about mosquitoes. I dip my pants, my socks. If I'm taking hammocks over there, I'll dip the hammocks in it. And that way, for the most part, there are no mosquitoes. Matter of fact, I might have got bit over there a couple of times, but that's because I wasn't wearing boots. I was wearing shoes, and I didn't have any socks on. And so there wasn't anything to protect my ankles. And we were up in the woods and stuff, out in the woods. So, but it wasn't too bad. But this made the whole thing worth it. 84 children from 12 to 23. It was just the greatest time trying to talk with them and get to know them better. I look forward to going back. And so last day of camp, we're trying to get out of there, and I got 20 people in my van, which holds 13. And I can't, it was rain, the day had rained and it was a little drizzly. I did not make it, I didn't get enough speed to actually make it up the hill, so I stalled. It's a stick shift. I stalled and then tried to start it again, slid backwards and slid off the side of the road. And thank the Lord that, I was 4 inches away from that bank. The worst that happened is it loosened the spare tire to where the spare tire fell off because it wedged in there, and when they pulled me out. The center is them, we didn't get a picture of it, but there's no sound. There's now. We missed the sound. Let me see if I can get it back. I was just telling them that this is typical. This is something we'll remember for a long time. We just got to remember it. Somebody take some video.
We got to remember this,
they piled
man.
up the back of this truck and just jerked me out of there. And then I made them walk up to the hill. The 20 walk up to the hill and get in the van. So then these are the 20 kids that we were sending back to their home in Ciuna area. Ciuna, Bonanza, Ciuna and Bonanza are where these folks are headed. Your support helped them get there. They had gotten enough money to get to camp, but didn't really have the money to go home. So it was about $200 for the 20, 24 people there to some extent. So I took them up, dropped them off to at the bus stop, and then they had another 8-hour trek to get home or so. So this was just great. The reason you hear me having to drive the van is in Nicaragua, any vehicle that carries over 8 people, you have to have a special license for. And so typical Nicaraguans could not drive a van like this. But if you're a visitor, you're an American, or you're a visitor from somewhere else, your driver's license is sufficient. And so the Americans drive the vans if we have the big 13-person van. And so Josh drove the van, I drove the van. Josh almost got a ticket, and I almost got a ticket. We're very fortunate. Edwin, my good friend in Nicaragua, he has the secretary of the police on speed dial, and she's a good friend. We get pulled over, and he's dialing. It was like at 9 at night or something. I thought I was, matter of fact, I made sure I was passing on a dotted center line, but I had to get around him going a little fast, apparently. And so they claimed I did not pass on a dotted line, and I was not arguing, but pleading my case that I know I watched for the dotted line. My buddy Edwin said they pulled me over illegally anyways. So, but we were able to get out of it. I learned from somebody else there, you just carry 2 driver's licenses and 2 passports. You keep your old ones, and you just give them the old ones, and you can go home. You don't worry about getting, because they take your license, and you end up they take the license, the registration to the van. So you got to pay for our brother to get his van back, but we can just, if we ever really get a ticket, we can just leave and they let him keep the old driver's license. So, but yeah, it was interesting. I can't take pictures of that because the police are too skittish of you having their photos. So this is my captive audience on the way home. Rold is his name. Rold. He's from Southern Cal. Very interesting religion. Believes in Jesus, believes in the Bible, but their complete main focus to become spiritual is chanting the names of Jesus, of God actually, and Jesus. Chanting it over and over and over again. It is some form of, what does Cindy do here? She does yoga? Yeah. It's some form of yoga as well. Very, very interesting. 3-hour conversation. All of a sudden, he's like, we're landing. I'm getting sick, my friend, is what he said. Because all of a sudden, we were landing and something was happening to him. But 3 hours was gone like that because of the conversation we had. And so, very interesting. I'd given him my name and phone number as well, just like I do every time. Anytime I meet somebody, but like I said, business cards coming with me from now on, lots of them. Not business cards, our congregation cards. I really want to leave you with this. So if you are willing and able, we don't mind any benevolence help with this. It's a little costly to do it via the holistic route. Right now, I am compiling all of the list of 24 particular vitamins, minerals, MTC oil, hydrogen peroxide, menbendazole, ivermectin, and then I'm going to either ship it over there or I am going to deliver it over there. I haven't decided yet. I have the remainder of what I've ordered coming in tomorrow, hopefully, and then from there I can make a decision whether or not I'm going to fly over there and try to deliver it hand, or whether I'm going to try to trust FedEx to get it through their customs. Josh Reeves, the one who held the camp, He had a suitcase full of backpacks. They confiscated that from him because they felt like he was selling them, going to go and sell them. He had a suitcase full of just songbooks. He custom made a bunch of songbooks for the camp, and they confiscated all of those. They just took them. There's no reason, no nothing. They just took them. You're just not getting those suitcases back. He was fortunate that he had given somebody else a suitcase with some of the songbooks in it, so we had some songbooks still. But you're just not guaranteed that stuff will get through them. Now, Edwin and I have figured out a way we think we can pretty easily get through there, even customs if I take it over there. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to, but for a 3-month supply right now, on top of that $1,500 is probably about $3,000-ish for just a 3-month supply of the vitamins and minerals and that type of stuff. Optimistic, like I said, I mean, this is me leaving. That when we're taking a picture, you can see her smile. We're 10 days into the trip, and they have their moments, you know, some little things that if I'm preaching, you'll say something like until death, and then that might break one of them down a little bit. But the hope is there, the hope in Christ, the joy, the peace, all of that is there with them and her. I haven't heard any complaining of any kind. Just doing our best to see if we can battle it and get rid of it holistically. So that was the end of the trip. That was the last day. We took a picture. Oops. And again, like I said, there were 2 baptisms after we left. One young lady who I happened to be, we were bringing the van back, and I let the gentleman whose van that it is, we rent it from him. He's a brother in Christ. And so then I got back and I got to talk to some of the kids in my van. The one young lady that I was sitting next to, she's the one that got baptized about a week after I left. So that was exciting. And then there was another young man from another congregation that was baptized as well. So that's been my work in Nicaragua for this time. I plan on going back. I don't know. I might take a trip. It literally might be Tuesday if I decide to fly over there. I might jump on a plane and get all this stuff in and put it in the suitcase and try to get it through customs that way. I'm going to go to work tomorrow and see how much it costs and to ship it and see if it's worth the chance of, because then you're really leaving it up to total chance. If they open that box and they see all these medicines and stuff, again, you're 3 bottles of this, 2 bottles of that, they might think you're sending it over there to sell and thus confiscate it. So not sure. I'd personally rather beg to keep it, go through the airport, beg to keep it. Hey, this is for somebody who has cancer. Here's her cancer records, you know what I mean? What do you need to get me through customs, please? We'll see what route I go. But that's my trip, and I really, really appreciate all of your support. And I know there are several out there that aren't here that have been very supportive. We are doing some good work, and so I do hope to make another 2 trips next year at some point in time. So appreciate it. Any questions that you have? I know Tony mentioned maybe question and answer. You're more than welcome to ask any questions. If you have any, I'll do my best to answer them. Yes, Melinda. Yes.
Over there, is it like they leave the kids with the dads and they're getting to go to church, or do they go off?
Let's see here. Getting a little feedback. So repeat that one more time.
The kids.
Mm-hmm.
Were the kids left with the dad, or
Not always. So this particular time, so the one that had the flood, she took the kids. The one who just wanted to go to Costa Rica because she wanted to go to work, she left the kids with him. I think there might have been only one kid in that instance. That's all I saw. So the one with the flood, his wife was not a member. She was thinking about becoming a member, and he chased her away. And so that was my understanding of the whole tape of it. So her and the children are not going anywhere to worship. And no, George with the other one whose wife went to Costa Rica, he is not faithful at this point. So we were trying to convince him to come back to the Lord, and also maybe, because you could tell he was still in love with his wife. He wanted them to be together. She was the one that chose to go work in Costa Rica. And so we were just trying to convince him, well, maybe it takes an act of just go down there and ask her to come back. Or maybe go down there and live with her for a while if that's what she wants. And if he was willing, I might have been willing to help fund that. I just kind of made a hint about that, because he doesn't have the money to get down there. But if he was really eager and willing, then to save a family, I was willing to help him get down there. Oh yeah, he lives, so he's the son of the preacher, I think, or son of one of the members there at the church.
The lady with the cancer, the preacher's wife.
Say that one more time.
The lady with the cancer,
Oh, yes.
she has doctors there that are also.
So she has Nicaraguan doctors, but they're pushing chemo. Matter of fact, they want to do it on the 8th. And the doctor we got in Spain asked her to postpone that, and I'm begging for them to postpone that. At least postpone it till she has a test coming back the 15th of October, which will dive into specifically the type of cancer. And then he mentioned, the doctor in Spain mentioned, if she does have to have chemo, it may come back favorable where she can actually do a pill form of chemo rather than just totally flood your body full of it. And the pill form, I think, is a whole lot easier on your body. So right now, I think they're open to anything, and I'm trying to convince them that what the holistic doctor has put in place, we want to see how that progresses before you go off putting chemo, poisoning your body. The chemo's free. The chemo and the doctor are free. That's the problem. I'm funding anything else holistically. So I told them, doesn't matter, whatever the expensive is, we're going to battle it holistically. And if you need to go get something else done, then we're going to do whatever it takes. And then with what I'm buying as far as the vitamins and minerals, I just went out and I looked for the best. Whatever is the absolute best, most absorbable, most natural vitamin, mineral from what he did berberine, he did vitamin D3, K2. We're doing black seed oil. Like I said, there's 20 plus vitamins and minerals, plus the ivermectin and the menbendazole. Those are both dewormers, but they are also, from the holistic side of things, they believe most of our cancers and most of the stuff we actually get are from bacteria or from, worms and stuff inside of us. And so she's on going to be on a flood of those, and then I'm going to have her do a hydrogen peroxide breathing treatment, nebulized hydrogen peroxide, which is a super oxygenator. And so if you get that, I'm thinking if we can get that into her lungs, then her lungs will kind of heal on their own. they'll kill that cancer with enough oxygen. And so they have a nebulizer. They don't have, as far as we can find, you need food grade hydrogen peroxide, which is, that's not what you go buy in Walmart to 3%. That's got a bunch of additives and stuff. So you've got to dilute this down to where it's safe to take. But absolutely, yes, thank you. Prayers will be immensely helpful. Again, they're relying on the Lord and trusting this doctor to, hopefully holistically take care of this. And so yeah, any other questions, thoughts? Just a hair over an hour. They're going to. This is the third year they've done it. My first year there to do it. I just happened to meet him the last trip I went on. He was leaving. I was just getting there, and my buddy Edwin, he went to both camps. He helps do the speakers and stuff there. And he said, I want to introduce you to him. Have you ever met Josh Reeves? And I'm like, no. So we went over to the hotel. He hadn't left yet, and he was staying in a hotel right across the street from the airport. Went over there. We talked with him. We talked with Jason. I talked with Jason, and then there was another lady there still left there, Ashley. And we just sat around and talked for a while. He moved from Georgia. He moved to Texas, to College Station. So I ran over there, helped him unload one day, and just said, hey, keep me posted on what you're doing, and maybe I can come and help. And that got me started on this last trip, actually. Originally, when I asked Carm, it was literally supposed to be the 5 or 6 days just for the camp. And I'm like, can I go a little and do my normal thing? And she was very reluctant, but she allowed me to go. And so she let me go early, and so that's when I got to go visit the churches and that type of thing. So I hope to get back there every time they do a camp from now on. I love talking to the kids. I mean, that's the next generation. But I'm not going to stop my preaching to the mom and dads and giving out my children's Bibles, because that's the generation after that. So when I go preaching and teaching, I'm focused in more on the children, the young children and their parents, and he's trying to draw all the middle-aged kids to have a good Christian support. And so I think it's awesome, and if we can do those, we can help strengthen the church over there. Because
Searching to see how many kids and people there were at the congregations, I was surprised.
yeah, well, some of them there's lots of kids, like lots and lots, and so it's really exciting. And I probably told you this on the last one, or on one of the previous ones, that so my first trip, there were about 11 young ladies, and they wrote, the three of us that went, they wrote us these beautiful little cards, and I still have it. And they all signed it, and they helped write it, and this and that. And it took me 6 years or something to get back to Nicaragua after my initial visit. Only one of those 11 were faithful. And then that's when I decided that I needed to try to do something. Well, one of those young ladies in that photo was another one that I was actually able to kind of help drift back to the Lord. And so that was exciting. I didn't have much success on any of the other, but hey, one soul is one soul. So that's kind of our two missions. He's got one to build up and join together the middle-aged kids, and mine is parents and real young kids to start teaching their kids the Bible, because a lot of them don't have Bible classes for kids even. The Bible class is an adult Bible class, and that's it. And they don't, I don't think they get any teaching in the homes. Not much anyway. So a lot of them are, kids are scattering as they get older. And so I'm trying to prevent that and maybe just do a little part of it. Any other thoughts, questions, comments?
What you're doing.
No problem. It's absolutely my pleasure. Like literally, I don't know if I could do anything else. Might get to go to Guatemala, probably not, but maybe in years later. I've been invited. They're trying to do another camp in Guatemala, but I think it's during the time for our sacred selections this time. And they haven't set dates still yet, so I haven't really been able to make the plans. I told him I want to come, and he gave me some dates, but they're not finalized. So I can't even make any plans to help get folks to run the business, help run my business while I'm gone or anything. So I'll probably miss this Guatemalan trip, but maybe next year. So, but I do appreciate it very, very much, everyone. Thank you for your time. And if you have any more, if you ever think of any questions or anything, you can text me, holler up. If you want to come, you know you can come. It doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter. We can make a trip as easy as we need to or as hard as we need to. Those trips are all planned by me and the men that helped me, all the folks you saw on the screen there. So if you're interested, you are more than welcome to come. Thank you so much.